it's not so common that we look at something that happened in Sefer Bereshit, and we really have no idea why the person in Sefer Bereshit did that thing. And I think that like if I could imagine the most annoying little brother, I don't have a little brother, I'm the youngest, thank God. But if I could imagine the most annoying little brother in the world, it probably wouldn't amount to how, just seemingly how annoying Yosef was towards his brothers. Like, it's crazy. Like, you read I'll read the story, I'll paraphrase the story, right? Yaakov was there with his family, and fine, he had a lot of kids, and Yaakov loved Yosef more than all of his other brothers, and his brothers hated Yosef. Yosef's brothers hated him. Okay, great, awesome. I'm pretty sure that that's not so great, but it gets even worse. Yosef had some dreams, right? So what did he decide to do? He went to his brothers who hated him so much, and he's like, hey guys, guess what? I had a dream. And then the pasuk says, and they hated him even more. He's like, okay, I have a genius idea. I'm going to tell you what that dream is. Come on, guys, come listen to this dream. And they hated him even more, right? That's the second time that it says, Vayosifa od snooto, right? They already have two hatings in addition to the original hating. They hate this guy, and he somehow decides that it would be a smart idea to even go another step, and then he has another dream, and his genius idea is, maybe I should tell my brothers what I dreamt about. Maybe they're going to like me after that. And he tells them again, and again. And actually this time it's interesting. He tells his brothers the dream, right, the second dream of the stars and the moon and the sun bowing down to him. He tells his brothers and he tells his father, and after this it says that the brothers were jealous of him. So it seems like Yosef is not the exactly Dr. Phil here. He doesn't exactly know how to take care of parental, family relationships. He's kind of messing it up. So the obvious question is, what on earth was Yosef thinking when he decided to just annoy his brothers so much? Like, he knew that they hated him. It was very obvious. They all ganged up on him, and he always spoke lashon hara about them, according to Rashi. And now he decides to just tell them his dream, and genius idea. Yeah, you guys hate me, so I'm going to tell you a dream that I had in which you guys are bowing down to me, because that'll make you like me even more. So what is he thinking? What is going on in Yosef's mind? So there are actually a bunch of answers that I came across. There are actually 6 of them that I want to share. So 6 is a high number, but each answer has a very powerful lesson behind it, and if I would advise to take away one message maybe from one of the 6 answers, because it's a lot to remember. But I'll share all 6. So again, what was Yosef thinking when he was telling his brothers about his dreams? So we'll start off with the approach that looks at Yosef not in such a bright light, and that's of the Sforno. The Sforno says that it wasn't so smart. It wasn't exactly the best decision for Yosef to do this, and he wasn't right in doing this. A few psukim later, it said that Yosef was a na'ar. He was a child. He didn't really know so much better, and he was childish. He shouldn't have done this, and that's it. It doesn't really paint such a great picture of Yosef, the opinion of the Sforno. The Malbim actually he gives another answer that doesn't make Yosef look so childish. He kind of gives a little brighter of a light towards Yosef. So before we go to the Malbim, we have to back up with one piece of background information. The Gemara in Brachot says that whenever there's a dream, it's kind of strange for us to relate to because we don't usually interpret dreams. But the Gemara says that when there's a dream, the interpretation of that dream goes according to what the person who hears the dream from the person who dreamt it, what that person says about the dream, the way that person interprets it. It's a very strange idea, but that's the idea of the Gemara that we're going to go with. That how the dream will play out in real life depends on the person who hears it and interprets it how they think it's going to play out. So that being said, the Malbim explains that Yosef, he was kind of just he had good intentions. He meant well. It's just that he was a little bit naive. He wasn't really with the program. He was maybe a little bit of a freshman. Just kidding. He was a little bit naive. He didn't really know what was going on. That was a complete joke, by the way. Just poking fun. He thought that he didn't realize that it would anger his brothers so much by telling them about his dreams. He thought that they would hear the dream and they would somehow interpret it in a good way, right? I don't know, maybe that his hay stack, his straw stack represented all of them or whatever. He didn't really realize that it would kind of anger his brothers so much. So with the first dream, he just decided that he would go ahead and tell them. He didn't realize that they would get so angry at him. So just the way that the Malbim reads the Psukim is that what happened was that this made his brothers very angry because I think it's the most annoying thing in the world when you have this guy that you don't really like and he doesn't catch on, he can't take the hint, and he just keeps nagging you and trying to be your friend. That's exactly what Yosef is doing here, right? They hate him, they hate his guts, and he just keeps being like, "Hey guys, I had a dream. This is so cool, right?" And then they're just like, "You're so annoying. Get away from us." So according to the Malbim, he actually caught on to that, and by the second time that he had a dream, the way that he told over the dream was very different. It's interesting. He says, "Chalamti chalom od." Right? I had another dream. So the Malbim explains this pasuk saying that Yosef is telling his brothers that "Hey guys, I know the first dream angered you a lot, and you got really annoyed at me for that. But don't worry, this dream is a new dream. It cancels out the first dream, so you don't have to worry about that one." He's trying, at this point he caught on that his brothers were really angry and they really don't like him. So he's trying to kind of be like, "Don't worry about it, that last dream, this dream took its place and it's not such a big deal. And you know what? And this dream is crazy because the sun's bowing down to me and the moon's bowing down to me." And Yaakov interpreted that as meaning Rachel, his mother, would be bowing down to him, and that can't happen. That would be crazy. So you know what, guys? Forget about all these dreams. They're all crazy. None of them are going to happen. So you really shouldn't be angry at me at all. So that's how the Malbim explains it. At first, he was very naive, and that's why he told the first dream, because he didn't realize that his brothers would get so angry. And the second dream, he told that because he kind of thought that would convince his brothers that, you know what, these dreams don't really mean anything. The first one didn't come true. The second one's crazy. It's not going to come true, and it's not a big deal. But still, the problem is with all the answers that we've done so far, it kind of rips on Yosef a little bit. But not everyone agrees with that approach. The Gra actually says that it's not a negative thing that what Yosef did. It's actually very positive. He wasn't naive. He wasn't childish. We could actually learn something great from what Yosef did. The Gra explains that Yosef thought that these dreams were a nevuah. And the rules of nevuah is that when a Navi has a nevuah, he's supposed to tell people about it. Whoever he thinks should be told about it, that's the law. He has to. It would be an avera for him not to tell the people about it. So really, it's kind of a great thing that Yosef was doing, because he had these dreams and he knew that this was gonna, make his brothers not so happy. But still, he told the dream anyway, because he perceived it as though God was telling him that he has to tell over the dreams. Even though, in spite of the fact that he knew that his brothers would get angry at him. And then, moving right along, and I'm going to do all the answers, and then what we can learn from each one afterwards. So, and then the final three answers are given by the Or HaChaim, not the Or Chaim, not the school. It's the Or HaChaim, which is why we should call the school Or HaChaim. But okay, whatever. So the Or HaChaim, he gives three answers, and all these answers are positive, just like the Gra. It's things that really Yosef was a very wise guy. He knew exactly what he was doing, and he even chose to do these things. Meaning the Gra said he had to, because Hashem commanded him. But the Or HaChaim said, no, this was a very smart thing that Yosef did. And whether it worked out or not, and obviously it didn't, he had very good rationale to tell his brothers about the dreams. So the first answer given by the Or HaChaim, is that Yosef was trying to convince his brothers that the fact that he was favored by Yaakov and he was the hotshot of the family was against his will. Meaning, the brothers knew that he was the hotshot because he got the Ketonet Pasim from Yaakov. And he knew that his brothers didn't like him, but he was trying to at least tell them, guys, it's not my fault. This is from God. I just got a dream about this. You can't blame me for God, for whatever reason, choosing to make me the one who your straw bows down to my straw, and you guys as stars bow down to me. It's not my fault. It's not because of me. And he was trying to kind of appease his brothers and realize that really, it wasn't up to him, and they shouldn't really hate him so much because, it's against his will. He wouldn't want to be this hotshot above them. But so he was trying to convince them of that. That's the first answer of the Or HaChaim. The second answer that he gives was that Yosef was giving them advice. Meaning Yosef saw the dreams. It's not his fault that he had these dreams. He kind of guessed that this means that his brothers would bow down to him. And he was giving them the advice that, guys, I don't know when or why or where or who, but in some scenario, you guys are going to end up bowing down to me. That's what these dreams tell me. And I just advise you guys, like, you shouldn't hate someone that you're going to end up bowing down to. He was giving his brothers just rational advice, that they shouldn't bow down to someone that they're going to need sometime later. And the final answer that we'll give is the third answer of the Orach Chaim, it's actually a very interesting answer, is that Yosef, he had an agenda. He was trying to do some sort of Dr. Phil, Dr. Phil, Oprah Winfrey, Shalom in the home kind of thing. He was trying to do a group project for the family. He saw it as the following. He saw these dreams, and he said, okay, I have these crazy dreams. The family situation is not going to get any better because, they all hate me. The father gave me this coat, and I'm sure they're pretty jealous. But he was trying to make it into a group effort. And he told them the dreams with the hopes that they would take the dream, and as we said before, similar to the Malbim, they would interpret it for good. They would interpret it in a way that could make it good, just make it positive for the whole family in some way. And really, he completely meant well. He was trying to do this massive family therapy because the dynamics were just not going well, and he was trying to bring them all together. So now, those are the 6 answers. I want to just quickly go through what we can learn from each one. Some of them are more poignant than others, and some of them are more simple than others. So, back to the first answer. The Sforno said that Yosef was being very childish, and he shouldn't have done this in the first place. I think that the lesson behind that is pretty clear, which is, don't act childishly, and don't do things that are not smart. Alright, that's simply said and done. Okay, but it gets a little bit more tricky. The Malbim, again, he says that Yosef was naive, and I think that this actually, we can learn something very important to all of us, is that we should all keep our eyes open. That even, Yosef just didn't realize that him telling his brothers that he would be above them, that they would be bowing down to him, and he just wasn't aware to their feelings. He wasn't aware that they would, get very angry and very jealous from this. And we can obviously learn from that we should really all try to realize, like, hey, I might be saying this, and it might not seem this way to me, but if I say this to someone else and they hear it, then they might interpret it completely differently, and they might get extremely jealous of me and start to hate me a lot. So, moving right along with the Gra, again, he said that he stood up to peer pressure. That Yosef knew that this would make his brothers very angry at him, but he was just commanded by God to tell them his dreams. And I think that's something amazing, that he stood up to the pressure of 11 brothers, and he told them the dream because he believed that that's what God was telling him to do, even though he knew that his brothers would not be happy. Okay, we're halfway there. Answer number 4, the first one of the Orach Chaim, was that he was trying to convince them that it wasn't his fault. And for that, I'll quote Bill Cosby. Bill Cosby has a great quote saying, "I don't know the key to success, but the key to failure is trying to please everyone." And I think that just teaches human nature, that you can't get everyone to like you. And whoa, I just lost my train of thought. It's late. Right, that Yosef was trying to convince Hashem that that it wasn't up to him, that it wasn't his fault, that it was completely from God. And overtime. Oh my God. See, I wanted to start earlier. Right, and then the second to last answer, which was that Yosef was telling his brother's advice. I'm just trying to rush this a little bit. I want to let you guys go home. Is that even though you know that if you give someone advice, sometimes it kind of angers them in a certain way, whatever the advice may be. And Yosef knew that, but he was still trying to advise them that they should not hate him so much, because he knew that they would be bowing down to him one day. And yeah. And finally, again, I'll just go over to the last answer, was that he was trying to do this family counseling. That, he knew that this was a high-risk project, that it could tear the family apart, but he also knew that the family situation was not getting any better, and he was willing to take the risk. He was very bold, and he was willing to take the risk to bring the family back together and to make this group project of them interpreting the dream for better, and maybe learn all or one of these lessons from Yosef, and all be better people and build by Bnei Amen.